during the live stream, the meeting.
The live stream is private.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know why. We asked it to be public. Notification blocked. Why is it blocked? Allow for this site. Is it public now?
Let's see. Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I guess automatically it did block. I don't know. Maybe it's trying to protect me.
They changed it.
Yeah, you know, they changed so many different things. Okay, I got that. I got my YouTube. I have my recording. Let me just do my Loom. See if that comes up. And then we'll talk also about, I have a couple of things Dylan will talk about. And then Daniel, you can talk to Dylan about the grading and things like that. Okay. Is my Loom here? What happened to my Loom? Okay. So I can do that. I can turn off my camera. Start recording. 3, 2, 1, and I'm ready to go. I have all my backups and all my recordings. Okay. So welcome everyone. As people are coming in, you know the drill. Hope everybody had a great break, safe and sound, and back to work. As I usually tell everyone, spring break for me is like when I start running longer distances and I stop in the middle. It's hard for me to get back in. So hopefully we'll get in there a little bit, getting into parts. Okay, so let me tell you about this semester, what we have. April 17th, which is exactly 1, 2, almost 3, 4, April 17th. Everybody put that in your calendars. And maybe, Dylan, if you can put that in the announcements as well. Put on April 17th is an exam in person, the second exam. And we'll talk about the chapters that it will cover later on, but it will be in person.
April 17th?
April 17th, Wednesday. And it will be, just put that in the announcement that April 17th, everybody needs to reserve that time. Same format. It will be in SBA 204 in the classroom. It will be 2 parts, just like the first part. And we'll talk about the chapters later on, but just make an announcement there. It's good for people to remember that if they've made any travel plans or something, they need to change those since they need to be in set. So I think in general, I think the exam went well in terms of logistics. What do you think, Dylan? I think we were able to, if you think about any other improvements that we can, you'll let me know. But I think in general,
well.
we'll also get I think the biggest help we get is from the IT staff being there to make sure everything is going well. Okay. Those of you that have any personal issues, stay with me after class, or you can send me an email about it, but we'll continue. The exams, both parts are posted now. The first and the second, I'll discuss later on. I have to make the curve, but right now, I think it will be I'll have it evenly split of 10% each for the first part and the second part. And then we'll talk about the curve. The second part really doesn't need to be curved. The first part, I think the highest were in the, for this section, were in the 80s. And the lowest, were others. But it seems like the second part helps everybody go up. There are some issues. And stay with me afterwards if you need to do that. And who would like to, Daniel, you want to moderate the chat?
Yes, I can.
Any other volunteers that want to help Daniel?
I'll do it.
Anyone? Okay, Sophia? Thank you so much for volunteering on it. Okay. Any questions, Sophia, about the exam? We're ready to go on. You remember that? It went through basically.
I know you just talked about the curve, but is it going to get curved like when you post or like now or at the end of the semester?
At the end of the semester, but I'll give you a chance. Once I look at it, I'll give you an idea of what it is, but it won't be curved down.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Seriously, because if I had to curve for the second exam, people did quite well, right? And I say, at that point, it would be anybody that got in, 90, may have been a B. So don't quote me. So
Professor,
it will be.
What is the split on the grades? Like, does the first part count for more or less than the second part?
I haven't determined it. I'll look at it again to see how everyone is. I want to make sure that everyone had it. But
Okay.
in the past, it's been but usually what it is the second part helps people in the first part,
Okay.
of upgrading it.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else? So I know everybody's anxious about the exams, but at least everybody has their test there. And if you want to stay with me afterwards, you do it. I don't know when drop date is, but tonight I'm going to submit people that aren't doing well in the exam. I have, that's another thing I want to make a note of giving to the, I guess, dean's office. They want those that have not done acceptable work will get unacceptable work. I'll fill that out. Okay, so let's talk about what the rest of the semester is going to be. So April 17th, we have an exam. We're going to be covering cloud computing and artificial intelligence and generative AI. We will be going through those chapters, and I probably will, for the second exam, we'll go over the new chapters, and I will, for the second exam, cover again chapter 4 and 5. The security and the data. So the data chapter and the security chapter, you will be seeing questions about that again. But I will emphasize more the cloud computing, the artificial intelligence, and the enterprise resource planning. We will have that. We will also do a project, a group project. And what I want to do this semester is I want to concentrate on generative AI. Isn't that where kind of like all the action is happening? Anybody hear about Google and Apple? Anyone? The news? So why don't we look to see? Let me share the screen. So what happened with, in this case, if I go to, we see ourselves, right? If I just say basically what happened with Google and Apple is news about Gemini. What's Gemini? Dylan, have you heard of Gemini?
Yeah, that's Google's generative AI.
It's Google's generative AI. It used to be called Bard, you remember?
Yeah.
Guess what? Apple is in talks to let Google Gemini power iPhone AI features. So if you thought about that, Costa, how do you think Google stock is doing today? Down, up, or who knows? What do you think, Costa?
Probably up.
It's up, right? So if I even typed in here, right, Google, right, stock price, up today 4.57%. Not bad, not a bad deal, Costa, right? In terms of this, why? So if you look at that one day, if I look at that 5-day, look at this right here, right on March 18th, just that news, because guess what? Their Gemini is going to be in every iPhone. And what in this case, who's their competitor of Gemini? Costa?
I'm not sure.
Okay, have you ever heard of ChatGPT?
Oh yeah.
ChatGPT, and guess who Microsoft has basically embedded in their systems? What do you think, Costa? ChatGPT. They call it basically, if I looked at it, I could think about it. It's called copilot.microsoft.com. Your everyday AI companion. So basically, this Copilot now is incorporated. It's going to be incorporated in all of Office. It basically is ChatGPT. Microsoft now has labeled it their version Copilot, everyday AI comparisons. And I bet if I go, you remember we said go ahead and if I do the New York Times, and if I looked in the New York Times under tech, look at this here, that I say the Department of Homeland Security is embracing AI all of a sudden. Crypto comes roaring back, the AI, right, that we're doing. And if I go to Wall Street Journal, and I look at tech, NVIDIA sets to unveil its latest chip in AI Woodstock. Basically today, have you heard of Costa NVIDIA?
Yes.
Costa? Yes, no?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, what is it?
I just know it's a technology company. I know,
It's basically a chipset.
yeah, they do processors, right?
Yes, they do processing, especially they do GPUs. What is GPUs? Graphical processors, right? Instead of CPUs, they have GPUs. And guess what? Basically, why do you need it? Because we have tons and tons of data in AI to train it, right, Costa? And what do we want to do when we're training it? We need these chips. All these servers need their chips. And their chipset today is their conference. Maybe in between, I'll try to set it. If you want to, you can go to NVIDIA. They have a conference you can attend free virtually, and they're talking about it as the AI Woodstock, basically being the appear with tech luminaries at a packed arena in California. Why? Because this AI is going bonkers. So it's set to unveil that way. And basically, this was one of the highest performing stocks last year, and it's continuing to be quite well in basically what's happening in NVIDIA. So we're going to concentrate on generative AI to try to figure out what's the difference between artificial intelligence and regular artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI. And what I will ask you, I'll go into more in depth on Wednesday, Costa, is we'll be doing group projects where your group will be looking at a subsection of generative AI products and reviewing them. So Costa, you can basically really figure out what you want to look at, whether it's comparisons, let's say, of ChatGPT and Gemini, or Copilot, looking at, for instance, generative AI in office products, maybe what's new in marketing. And you basically will be talking about that. And that's what your project will be. So you can take away, Costa, getting skills in the generative AI sphere and seeing the advantages, disadvantages, and you'll be able to think about that it's changing almost in the middle of the semester. It's going to be different from the end of the semester. There's so much going on in there. So they're even just saying this, that they're having so many that NVIDIA then is having the CEO will appear with basically a packed house. And notice, guess what? NVIDIA even there is keeping going up, right? A frenzy over artificial intelligence, expected to unveil their latest chips in Mondays in a sports arena. And are descending on basically the national, in San Jose, the conference center there, where they're having it, and it seats about 11,000 people. So instead of professional wrestling, they're going to have that, and it's gone with it devoted to basically all their platforms. So speaking of the conference, it's interesting, Costa, is the folks from OpenAI, is even Elon Musk, Meta, Google, Microsoft. So basically, he's even invited all these people, because guess what? All these people need what? His chips. So it's almost in that case, that brand of how am I going to be able to put in those chips for, inspiration for futuristic buildings. It's just going to be awesome here. So his vision of the future of AI will be closely watched. Like his recent forward, there'll be another $1 trillion of spending on data centers. Can you imagine $1 trillion being spent on? And its stock is also up threefold in a period, making it the third largest U.S. company behind who? Apple and Microsoft. And Microsoft went up. Why? Costa, because of what? OpenAI and their chat. Okay. So we're going to be focusing in on that. And every group and every person then can think about what appeals to them. If they're a marketing major, they can look at marketing. They can look at even social media. You can decide, and I'll go into more detail on Wednesday. All right. So let's go to the what's due section. And if I go to what's due, everybody go to the what's due section. I'm going to go my edit mode. I'm going to put it off. You'll see in your what's due section for next Monday, we're going to have the same thing as we've had before. We're going to have Tech 3, which is TG3, Cloud Computing Adaptive Assignment, and the quiz. These are the 2 readings of links, and we'll cover that today. So let me make sure if I go to assignments and quizzes, let me turn on, let me go to TG3 and make sure that it's available to you. So I'm going to edit the test options, Tech Cloud 3, open the test yet, make available to the students, add a new announcement. So in this case, Sophia, should we do 2 attempts or 1 attempt? Sophia, should I remain with 2 attempts for the quiz?
Say yes.
Okay, all right. So Sophia doesn't know that she, do you hear me, Sophia? Or are you just?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. 2 attempts, please.
I'm still searching for it, Sophia. I know, isn't that the hardest part? Where is that freaking unmute? Okay, so we'll do this. Did you say yes? 2?
Yes,
Rather
2
than 1?
attempts.
Okay, and so let's make sure in this case we'll do March 25th and at 3:30. What we are not doing now is there's no late assignments. You don't do the assignment in time. You do not get credit for it. All answers submitted all at once, and I submit. So Sophia, can you look to see if you see Tech Cloud 3?
I see it.
Perfect. The next thing I need to do, I need to do the same thing for make available the Tech Cloud 3, and let me make sure that I edit it. So it's the same thing, cloud computing, the adaptive assignment. And let me make sure that I'm going to open the assignment. And that is open for everybody to do. And in this case, under options, I need to edit the assignment. Go to the next step. Next step, and set a due date and assign it to the entire class rather than one person. And the due date then will be on the 25th. And it will be before the class, 3:30 p.m. Save. So that should be available, saving your assignment. That's done. Okay. Next, if I go back, should be, I think I should be able, for any support, it should be available for me. So do you see it, Sophia?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, perfect. So everybody knows then we need to do the cloud adaptive assignment. The other thing that if we go back and go to the H1, one thing, if we look at the what's due section, we know that the quiz has been in the announcements exam second. Thank you, Dylan, for putting that available. And we have to look at the what's due sections. There's, at this point, when you look at your what's due section, there's readings there. One is from Azure and one is from AWS. So Azure is what, Daniel? Have you heard of Azure?
Yeah, that's Microsoft's.
It's Microsoft's
cloud, essentially.
cloud, basically is cloud computing. Anything that we need to do with the cloud is called Azure. And in this case, Malik, what is AWS? Have you heard of AWS?
No, I have not.
Look
But
at this. Do you see the link here? Have you looked at your link of what on the what's due section? Go to the what's due section. Malik.
I haven't looked at that yet.
And what does it say after AWS?
Amazon.
Amazon. So who do you think owns AWS?
Amazon.
Amazon, and it's called
Web services.
yes, Amazon Web Services. You've heard of that, right? Amazon
Mhm.
Web Services. And Amazon is publicly traded, and their most lucrative section, basically, or subsidiary, you think about it, or product, is Amazon Web Services. It is more profitable than selling on their store, right? We've all gone to Amazon and ordered. It is the most successful. So in this case, I'd like you to read these two articles also for next week. And these are the questions. You see the questions here? Sophia, what is cloud computing? What are the benefits? What are the types of cloud computing? Explain public, private, hybrid, the types of cloud services, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and what are the uses of cloud computing? What are some of the examples of their industry? So if I looked on any of these, and let's start with open in a new tab in Azure, where you see here Microsoft Cloud Computing. And have we done anything with Azure before? You remember when we used NinjaTrader? Malik, you remember when we used that remote desktop? In a way, Malik, we were using what? We were using Azure for Microsoft. So in this article, you can see is what is cloud computing? Do you see here, what are the benefits? Top benefits of cloud computing is basically, what's the idea of cloud computing? The idea of cloud computing that, Malik, if me and you were going to start a AI startup, and what is your major, Malik?
Finance.
Finance. And let's say we wanted to do something in like wealth management or something. We wanted to set something up. One of the things we would be doing is saying, hey, we need some computing capability to do our AI, right? We need what? We need a lot of, we talked about it, a lot of RAM, right? We need to have our CPUs. We need to have what we call GPUs. We need to have a large amount of that. So that's going to be basically a way in which we would have to buy the hardware. I'd have to get basically operating systems. I'd have to get software that I'm able to do it. And what am I telling you, Malik, is we're going to start and then we're going to scale up. In the beginning, we're going to have no customers, and hopefully after 6 months or a year, we'll have many customers, right? And what's good, the problem here is I'm going to, Malik, who's going to be in charge of all our IT? Do you want to be in charge of it, Malik?
Yeah,
You do? Do you have the skills for that?
I can grow them.
You can grow them, but in the beginning, we need to get up and running.
Yeah.
Right, Malik? So I can't wait here, right, for you to get that, right? And it's a waste of your resources because what I'm using you for, Malik, is the financial, the wealth, and trying to get, we'll try to get the college community basically in touch, and we're being able to hire. So what are we going to do? We're going to use what? Cloud computing services. So really our choice could be either Google or it could be Microsoft. And basically the whole idea is that that's what they talk about scaling. The whole idea of benefits is being the ability to scale is elasticity. Have you ever heard of elasticity, Malik? What does elastic mean? Costa, what does elastic mean? Elasticity.
Like able to change.
Able to change. Think about this. If I rent an apartment, right, and I leave in the summer, what's going to happen with my electric bill? And I just leave it blank.
Gonna lower a lot.
Lower. And then in the summer, did you hear? It's really hot today, right? It's humid. What do we have to do? We have to bounce up our air conditioning. And what is that? Elastic. So it's the same thing as Malik is ready to go, right? When we start growing, right, I'll be able to scale up or scale down. So this is the idea of scalability, the idea of performance, the idea of cost. Basically, moving to cloud helps companies optimize IT costs because they're going to take a brunt of that and let their staff take care of it, the speed, the productivity, and the reliability. So these are going to be types of cloud computing that we have. One is called public, and that basically is servers that I can gain access. How? In this case, Daniel, public means what? I can gain access via how?
The internet.
The internet, via a browser, I can get access, just like we did in NinjaTrader, remember? So that's the public cloud. The private cloud is basically people that want more security. In the public cloud, I still have passwords, but I'm sharing my data with others. In the private cloud, what am I doing? I'm basically, they're going to give me a more secure area. And in the hybrid, they give me a combination. So these are the types that I can do. What you need to do then, Malik, is when you want to learn more about it, you can turn to public, private, and hybrid clouds. So you'll go to the links here, and then they were talking about there's something in software that's called as a service. What does that mean? That means that a lot of times someone else, another party, gives me the service. And you know it, basically, Daniel, everything that you use, from Gmail to Blackboard really is as a service, right? There's few things that you basically reside on your computer. And they have something called IAA. Let me just do this lowercase s. And that is infrastructure.
Why don't they just call it infrastructure or like, a software license?
They don't. So they have platform as a service, they have software as a service, and they have something called serverless computing. This means you rent a virtual machine. This means just like we were doing in that remote service when we were using NinjaTrader, we were renting servers and virtual machines. So when Malik is coming to me and I said, we're going to do a wealth management artificial intelligence service, we're going to have to basically rent some servers. I don't want to buy them because number one, it's going to be a capital outlay. And number two, I don't know how many I'm going to use. And number three, I'm going to have to basically hire somebody to take care of it. You remember when we were doing even our tests, when I think about it, Daniel, just even, in the PC lab, what was the problem with that? We had to get those folks to take care of the software to maintain those computers. What a pain in the butt that was, right?
Yeah.
Daniel. So in this case, if I could have it, it would be good that I would be able then to rent it. Platform as a service refers to basically a way in which I can develop, test, deliver, and manage my software applications. Many times, for instance, we would need to have Windows, for instance, Malik, for NinjaTrader. If I needed Windows, then you say, I don't want to buy the Windows operating system. I can use platform as a service. And then software as a service is like everything that we use. I'm going to basically rent their software and basically use that. So these are the cloud deployments. These are the uses of what are we going to use for cloud compute? We can use it for storage. We can use it for backup. We can stream audio and video. Think about YouTube, right? Basically, I don't need to host that. Let YouTube do that. I can deliver software on demand. I can test and build my applications. I can analyze and I can embed intelligence. Now, the other one that we have that you'll look at, Malik, is you see that on the AWS, and the AWS here, what I'd like you to do is run their video, and it goes through what is cloud computing. And basically you can think cloud computing is on demand. What does it mean? That when I need the service, I get it. And we could even, let's say, start our company of our AI wealth management company, but till we get going, I don't want to buy computers until I need it. I don't want to buy computing power until I need it. I don't want to buy the software until I need it. So it's over the internet. That's the key. Put that in your notes then. Cloud computing is on demand when the user needs it. It's over the internet, meaning it's over the browser, and I pay as you go pricing. They price me as how much I use it. And now that's what they're going to do for a lot of these AI models. You remember, Dylan, we used Call Annie last time? Call Any now, it's all paid. And you pay a subscription rate, and some of these now are going to be, a lot of these services are going to be how many minutes you use it, where you can even use their large learning models. You'll pay as you use it. So if you use 10 minutes, you pay 10 minutes. If we use it an hour, we pay as an hour. And instead of buying or physically owning those data centers and service, that what happens, they're expensive, they get obsolete. Let's say, Malik, me and you start running this, and we're only going to start after a year. Our old equipment a year ago, it's going to be what? It's going to be more expensive, and it's not going to be as powerful as now. NVIDIA is having talking about their new chipset. I want their new chipset if I need it, such as computing power, storage, my databases on a as needed basis from a cloud provider. Amazon Web Services, one of the more popular ones. And Azure now, Microsoft is becoming popular now because of that AI model. So who's using it? What are the benefits? I can be agile. You remember, I can move fast. It can be elastic. When I'm not working, let's say in the summer, basically you'll say, hey, we'll start our company, but in the summer we want to take off, and then we're going to start in September. I can be elastic. I can handle my peak levels, let's say during certain times before tax time were more popular, cost savings, deployed globally in minutes. So they have servers throughout the world. What is it better that my server is closer to where I live? And then we talked about infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a purpose. And what would be interesting for you to do in this article, for reading it for next week, is choose some of those innovations of what you're interested in. For instance, financial services or healthcare or media, and see what they're using in their cloud services. And then you can see, what about pricing? What about products? And what's interesting about their products is, look what their products are. Just a product to do computation, just a product to do, I want computation, so I want large GPUs, but I don't want to buy a large one, I'll rent it. Storage, a database, content delivery, analytics, machine learning, and compliance. I don't want to hire a security officer, let them take care of my security. And notice here on their products, they're setting all these products out. You can see here on their product categories. This is Amazon. You can think about it in terms of solutions. Notice it's by use case. Use case is how we're going to use it. Whether I want backup, whether I want cloud migration, whether I want containers. By industry, I'm in the advertising marketing. This is kind of interesting to think about for your project. I'm in aerospace, automotive, consumer, education. So in terms of education, notice it's AWS, cloud computing for education. So it's basically by sector. Look how specific it is. Higher education. They're going so one with higher education, you can support teaching, learning, connect the campus to the community, store data efficiently, make data-driven decisions, explore higher education solutions. So solutions by use case, just for virtual proctoring. Supports prominent tests such as SAT, student communications, right? That we have communication tools, libraries, how they're using it, modernizing your campus. That's how it is. And then if I look at, in this case, I can look at the same thing on Microsoft. What I like about Amazon is run through their video. On Amazon, if I look on Microsoft, Notice it's the same thing as what is the cloud, right? If I go back and look at what is the cloud, what happened to the cloud, it's the same type of thing when I look at what is the cloud, what is Azure, Azure for business applications, taking it to it. Okay. So I'll try in a moment. So these are issues. Any questions? Sophia, any questions that we have?
No.
Okay, so you can see here that this is the area on the cloud that's important for you to understand. So if I look at Blackboard, Blackboard itself is, guess what? Software as a service. And where does Blackboard then store all of its data? Probably with Azure or with or both, where it'll be doing both of those. So if you think about it, it will be using a number of ways in which to store all that data. What about Zoom, right? What about YouTube? It has to store all that data, give all our data of what's due. Now, if you look under assignments and you look under the 9th edition of PowerPoint, it's the same thing as we talked about before, that what we want to look at is TG cloud computing. And then on the TG cloud computing, you'll think about that as a part of what you want to do. And on the Wiley Plus, right, on the Tech Guide 3, what is cloud computing? You'll see the exact same thing. Cloud computing, a type of computing that delivers on-demand pay-as-you-go. And you can think about what are its services, what happens to it. So these are what you can see. And you can see the same idea in cloud computing is what is it? What are the different types? What are the infrastructure? And what do we mean by infrastructure? When I think about what do we mean by infrastructure, we're talking about 5 things: hardware, software, the networks, the databases, and IT services. And when we talk about that, that's why we talked about infrastructure as a service. You see that, Daniel? That's infrastructure as a service. All of these services, part of the infrastructure, can be, you think about it, rented out on demand.
Yep.
And this is very profitable for these companies. But what is it about these companies? They're massive. They have massive data farms. They're updating their hardware all the time. And that's why they are with these NVIDIAs. And you can think about what are these cloud computing characteristics. You need to know about these cloud computing characteristics as thinking about it as almost like utility computing, thinking about it as like electricity, thinking about it as a way in which this can expand. And they have server farms or server virtualization there that you can look at, that you can see it. So basically what all these systems are these large amounts of racks of computers computing that you're able to have these farms in relationship all around the world. Because if one of these centers go down, you want another one to be able to back them out. And you'll need to know what is the difference between a public cloud, a hybrid cloud, multiple clouds, virtual clouds, and basically it is the most non-exclusive is public. For instance, government, defense, they need to have private clouds. And then we talk about that you need to know that infrastructure then is going to be a way in which to get to the networks. The platform is the way to get to operating systems. The software is just like NinjaTrader or the others. And I can function as a service as well. So you can think about the comparison. What do we talk about on-premise? It's just like when I say in Zoom, record to my computer. Put it in your notes. On-premise is like to my computer or the computer that I have on in my environment or on campus. And basically, the university more and more is going to also cloud services. They don't want to have their folks take care of a lot of hardware if they can eliminate it. Because they need to have people that are qualified to do it. And there's always changes. And Dylan, have we ever had problems in the lab? Every semester, right, Dylan?
Yep.
And every semester, even when you check it out, when the students go in for something simple like Respondus, what is it? This doesn't work. Bloomberg station doesn't work. Why mess with that if we don't have to? So this is why the tendency is geographically to do platform as a service in the cloud. So these are the areas in which the concerns and the controls. And guess what, Sophia? Another one would probably be, what are the disadvantages or what are your concerns about cloud computing? Everything is what? Not perfect, just like what we talked about before. So isn't that a good open-ended question for the next exam? It's all about then that cloud computing where you would have then those categories of the risk and concerns. And basically is security. What do I know that's happening there? But on the other hand, the university is vulnerable. So basically maybe, Amazon or Google or Microsoft will have better security. Who knows? But they're also going to be more, who do you want to hack? It'd be great to hack Amazon if you could. So these are the big three cloud players. If I asked you who were the big three cloud players, these are probably 1 and 2. Amazon and Microsoft, and Google now is trying to get in. And notice how Google's trying to get in even to Apple now. Being there, did you see that, Costa, being now getting into their AI, their chat GPT. And then the benefits here provided, they're key. And what they call here web services is basically applications that are delivered where? Through a browser over the internet. And what people are saying is sometimes I want to have something called local host. And what's a local host, Daniel? Have you ever heard of local host?
Yeah, it's a server that you have at your own location, either at your
Right.
own data center, your house. I have one.
Good. So a local host is that you have the server. And what's the advantage?
You're not trusting shady companies with your data.
Right, it's not over the internet. So you could test some things and have it basically have some security and then allow it to go over the internet. So a lot of development now is considering possibly on what they call local host. And there's something called edge computing. Is kind of like on the edge, not within the internet, but in between the internet to do processing. not in the cloud. So if I think about that, the benefits then, it can be access remote or local. And this I don't need, this one, and that's the end of the chapter. On Wednesday, let me stop sharing. On Wednesday, and let's make sure everybody has their camera on. My whole last row, I don't see any cameras of Jack, Liette, and Adam. Is at the end, on Wednesday, we'll start talking about our projects. And in the projects, what I want you to do is think about focusing and reviewing some products that are within a certain industry, some things that you want to get familiar with, like the differences between maybe the different chat GPTs versus the Geminis versus others, show examples of it. You'll be able to do, if you want, you can even stream it live. Some of your applications will be getting a domain name, a free domain name. Wix is, I'm an academic partner with Wix. So they're going to be coming in and giving us free domain names, which we can use for a year, which are nice. We'll look at some podcasting. We'll create some that everybody be familiar on how to create a podcast. We'll create a podcast, an RSS feed, maybe also use it with YouTube, maybe with Spotify, doing podcasts. And I'm allowing, you may even want to think about it now, we'll set it up, is allowing you to choose your own groups. Everybody will be in a group, but if you say, the first one was, I really love my group, I want to stay with them. If it didn't work out, or I want to do something a bit, I want to do finance, or I want to do marketing, you can create your own group. So we'll have group projects where you'll have your own group that you'll select. Okay, any questions? Sophia, do I have anything in the chat that I need to talk about?
No.
Okay, so I wanted to finish early today to have anyone that has any special concerns that they need to talk to me about, will talk to me about. Wednesday, we'll go into our talk about our projects and continue on. But that's basically what the first part is, cloud computing. And then on Wednesday, I'll also start presenting artificial intelligence and generative AI to get a feel for what does that all mean. Some of you have maybe some knowledge of it, and others of you, it completely seems foreign. And that's what I want to expose everybody to see how we can use it. Any questions? Okay, so let's do attendance here. Let me share the screen, do attendance. Stay with me after you do the attendance. And anything else that we need here. So I'll go back to attendance. Check in. All right. Start checking. 6708. Once you've checked in, we'll see each other on Wednesday. You guys can, what I suggest you do, finish up the cloud computing so we can start doing some other things. It's pretty short in terms of being familiar with it. Okay,
Thank you.
my pleasure. And Sophia, thank you. And Daniel, thank you for moderating. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
6708. Sivan, are you there? Some people,
I don't think so.
They
I don't-
always stay.
what?
They always like stay if they're not paying attention.
Yeah, right, they're not here. Okay, so sometimes some issues come up too. I don't want to be, let me stop sharing, let me stop recording.
Sorry, I was in the restroom.
Sivan, how are you?
I'm feeling much better. I was just yeah,
Did you sign in?
I did not know. I was just in the bathroom. I thought class ended.
Okay, so what was the number? Daniel, you wanna, or Dylan, you wanna,
6708, I think.
6708, is it?
I can do it later.
Dylan, you can put them in. Let me stop
I-